Hi, and welcome back to part 2 of the personality quiz demo. So we are right where we left off with our styles and our HTML. Because my plan now is to shuffle these questions around and to shuffle these answers around, I'm going to need to take this button and move it to the outside of my quiz area because I'm going to take HTML and insert it into this area. I don't want to have this button go away. I also am going to create a nice little div for a response to the user. Div class response. And I'm just, because I'm being lazy right now, I'm going to just drop in this style property of display none rather than going up to the CSS and taking care of it that way. I'm going to create a paragraph tag right here. So I'm changing my HTML like so. Let's get back to our JavaScript. I'm going to create some little instructions for myself. Randomize the question sections. Randomize the answer elements within. So in order for me to do that, I'm going to have to find a way to shuffle the different elements inside. And I went out to the World Wide Web. I Googled, I said, how do I shuffle an array? And I got this great answer that I'm going to share with you now. And I'm going to write the name of that function. It's going to be called shuffle. So function shuffle. And it's going to have an argument that is an array or array-like items such as a node list or HTML collection. So we're going to actually end up using a for loop on this rather than using a proper array method. While this will take an array, it will also work on items that are like arrays but not arrays. This function uses the Fisher-Yates algorithm for best randomization. That is one of the reasons it is awesome. If you don't know what that is, look it up. This is how we start our for loop. For I, array.length minus 1. This starts us at the top index of the array we are shuffling. Next, we make sure that I is greater than 0 to keep the loop running. Why not I greater than or equal to 0? Because by the time we get down to the 0 index, that item will have already been replaced or swapped out. There's no need to do it again. I minus decrement down to the end. Let j equal math.floor, and then we're going to use math.random, and then we're going to multiply math.random by I plus 1. So then that way it'll still get a random value that is within the array. On line 169, we are going to swap the two values of index I and index j for each other. What was at index j will now be at index I, and what was at index I will now be at index j. And that's it for our shuffle. I'm going to get some items that are a collection or a node list. What I want to do is I want to gather up all my sections. So up here on line 161, I'm going to type a variable. I'm going to call it my questions equals jQuery selector section dot Q&A. That will gather up all of my questions. So now that this is an item that is like an array, I can then turn around and shuffle my questions. Now, I haven't inserted this back into the HTML area, but we can use console.log and see how my questions are. So here I am back in the browser, and you can see the HTML has not been altered yet, but we just console.log this thing. And if I go to this section, you can see like there's a little arrow down at the end of the screen that says question Q&A. That's down below where this is. So our first item is actually question 4. Our second item happens to be question 3. Our third item is question 1. And then question 2, this is our last question. So when I insert the HTML back into the quiz area, that is all going to change. So let's see that happen. Back to Sublime Text. So we can see that our questions have been randomized. Let's randomize our answers before we reinsert everything. But first, we need to get all of our questions, and we're going to use jQuery's each function on this. And we're going to get the answers, so each individual answer within our answers set, and shuffle them. So I'm going to gather up all of those answers. I've made them into essentially another node list, and I'm going to go shuffle my answers. And so this will shuffle the answers within each individual question section. And then I'm just going to turn around and put them right back into that answers parent. So I can use the find method to find the item with the answers class on it. Use the HTML method on that item. Here's our HTML method. Type in my answers. So this will have my newly shuffled list of answers. After that, I can then turn around and insert my questions right back into the quiz area. Here we can see that the questions have been shuffled around, and we can see that the individual answers within those sections have also been shuffled around. Now let's make sure that my quiz works like it's supposed to. So if I just take this, and then let's say I do that, and that. Then I say, what am I? I am a 3 type. Okay, we still have the alert in, which is okay. I want to put a little response down below. So I'm going to hide this quiz area. I'm going to hide the button, and then I'm going to have the response as long as all the questions have been answered. So let's get back to Sublime Text. First, let me make sure that my title, don't have a title. That's all right. We can just add up here at the top. What kind of number are you? Our title is up at the top. The finish button is outside, or the response div is outside, so we can then turn around and display it when we have an answer. So that means I need to go into these items here. And it's really important that I have these items, the on-clicks, for the answers, very specifically after the answers get reinserted into the DOM, because these will not attach to an element that does not exist on the page yet. In my finish on click, what I want to do is, when everything's good in the if statement, that means I've answered all the questions. Since I've answered all the questions, I want to go ahead and hide the quiz area, and I want to hide the finish button. Now at the end, one way or another, so outside of that else statement, right, I'm not going to show that div, that response paragraph, only if they answer all the questions. I'm going to be, just like this alert, I'm going to put a message in there, tell them what they need to know. I'm going to use the text method because I'm not inserting HTML. I just have text in the message variable. Now I need to make sure to display the response div with the show method so that the user can see what I am telling them. Now let's try this in the browser. What kind of number are you? And then it tells me what type of number I am. And so that is the end of part 2. If you have any questions, feel free to make a comment or contact me via our class. Thank you, and happy coding, everyone.